We should say
Yeah.
it right the first
Um.
time.
Um. Oh, so like, what's the guy's name? What's the actor's name? Den David
David Danzig.
David Densick as Doctor Valdo Obruchev.
Valdo Obruchev. Yeah, I keep messing that name up, like Valdo. Where's Valdo?
Valdo, I know. Obruchev.
Yeah.
Uh, and he's clearly like behind a lot of this technology of the nanobots.
Yeah.
So what did you think of Obruchev?
Um, sorry. Got me up.
Alrighty, where me and Jeroen are continuing to discuss No Time to Die. This is episode 4, and we're going to be talking about the batch of baddies that James Bond has to face in his Daniel Craig's final film. And I guess we should start off with the biggie. That'd be Rami Malek, Oscar winner.
Yeah,
Safin,
Lucifer Safin.
Lucifer. So with a name like Lucifer, you got to be a bad guy, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's like Lucifer, like close to Satan. But yeah,
Yes.
now, and it struck me more today how Rami Malek does something with his voice. It seems like his voice is deliberately creepy or something. It's not his natural Rami Malek voice. He does something different with it. It seems when he speaks. Um, but yeah, let's start with him.
Yeah. So, what did you think of Safin? Like what he brought to the table in this film? How
All
did
right,
Malik do as a Bond villain? Does he rank up there with the all time greats or?
I think he starts up extremely promising in the pre-title sequence. Like lots of build up, very creepy, very he's not easy to forget with that entrance, like the mask, and today as well. Like people were startled with that moment where he's all of a sudden out the window. He's very present, very creepy. Same when he shows up like an hour later when he reveals the mask to Madeline. It's like I could hear the casuals around me like, oh, it's the guy again. It's the mask guy. So they had no clue.
Right. It's
That
kind of
Rami
funny.
Malek.
Like it's funny to hear like regular movie audiences reaction
Yeah,
to like
I
this
have no
stuff, and like
idea.
we're like
Never
we
saw a
wouldn't even bring
trailer.
it up to each other. We know it like
No,
like.
there he is. Yeah, but to them it was like, oh, there, that's the guy. That's what he looks like. But then I feel there's a lot of background, like his family was killed by Mr. White. It's very interesting. There's his history with Madeline, and then his whole scheme doesn't make much sense to me. Like the whole DNA nanobots thing, and in the end, especially near the climax, I think the build up doesn't li- live up to his character, and he's just disposed of, even though he kind of succeeds in the big plan that Bond can never touch Madeline again,
Right.
which is horrible. But Bond breaks his arm and it's like done, and he just seems like another baddie that got killed. And
Yeah.
it seems like there was so much more room to develop him more, and maybe especially go deeper into his motivations. because even on my second viewing, it wasn't too clear to me, like why he would want this to spread out all around the world, and he wants to get things tidier, and that's how he mentioned it. And but
Yeah.
like so, to summarize, extremely promising build up, but not enough payoff.
Um, I pretty much agree with you. Um, I thought his introduction was really good at the cabin attack, and then when we met him later, and like he kind of blackmails Madeline. Here's the poison. I want you to do this, and it's intriguing because he said because he kind of uses the secret to hang over her, forces
Mm.
like blackmails her to, go in and poison Blofeld. And I understand what he's doing. Like we learn, okay, his family were, I guess, they were killed by Mr. White. He's getting revenge on Mr. White, and he's, branching up to like Spectre to kill them all off, and then like he's got Blofeld. And then after that, he accomplishes all that. Then I get lost. I don't understand. I He's got the virus on the island, and they show the map of like Europe and like all this infection going all over the place.
Yeah, and not
Um,
just Europe. It goes to North Africa, and this is a simulation of his plan, of course,
yeah, yeah.
what he wants to achieve. But,
Or
but I
maybe he's
agree.
he's or is he selling it? Is he selling the nanobots to other people so they can use it? You just saw it, so maybe
I just saw it like
uh
4 hours ago, and to me, this is the unclear part still. Um, he mentioned it in the Doctor No like room. Well, one of the rooms where he's on the table with the child, and he goes like, I'm like their invisible god that can tidy up the place, and
mhm.
his voice sounds like this the whole time. It's very creepy, but to me, it's like just like Bond. Like, what are you on about? What's
Yeah,
your
right.
what's the big deal? Why do this? And what do all the innocent people have to do with yeah? And
Yeah,
he mentions that he's like people want to be led or something. People don't want to live their own lives. They need to be pulled into a direction or something. But
hmm
it doesn't make sense to me either.
um, I mean, from the first half, I get it. He goes out. He helps create this nanobot
Right.
virus thing.
Yeah.
They rob it, steal it.
Yeah.
Safin's going to use it to like eliminate Spectre. He manages to do it, checks them all off the list, and then I don't know. Okay, mission done to me. But I guess he's got some other things going on with this nanobot. So he's gonna kill more people. Maybe like I don't
And
know what if he's just gonna sell the stuff and it's gonna go into like enemy hands or
and then
what
he has
exactly
a
is
whole Garden of Death shoehorned in there as well, just as an extra.
that
It's
that
like, and
that
it's like, yeah, this was from my father. It's like, oh. So who was your father then? It's like, yeah, the whole Garden of Death thing, and like, why is it on that island? Something that had to do with the Second World War. Why is there a Garden of Death there? It just doesn't make sense.
I guess he using the Garden of Death for like they need that garden so like the scientists can create better nanobot technology that will kill even more effectively than the one that they stole. Like it has the poisons and stuff. Or
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. And I just saw it, but
yeah, it's strange.
that's where you're right. You were like, I'm on board until that moment, and there it loses me. And it's the same with me. And again, it's a shame because it's Malik did a pretty good job. I just think this is the writing. that it's like in the end where it's underdeveloped and kind of unclear. And he starts off so promising, you know.
It,
But yeah,
yeah, so like it seemed like Malik, he does like his little speeches, is kind of like James Bond villain speeches, and I don't really know what he's talking about.
yeah,
I mean, he started out promising, and you have a nice Oscar winner. Everybody liked him as Freddie Mercury, but I don't think they did anything special with him. He's better than Dominic Green.
right,
um,
right, yeah.
he's not
That's
as
not
good
too
as
hard, but
he's not as good as Silva. He
no.
tries to do a lot of the Silva beats, like with the speeches, like use psychology a little bit on Bond, like with their discussion. It seems like ever since like Skyfall, they try to go back and kind of like replicate a lot of
Emulate
the
that, yeah, I know.
yeah.
And that seems to
Um,
work, you know, the villains in the shadows. It's like that.
uh,
How many times did we get that heard? Like,
it'd be nice that this Bond meet a bad guy who just needs him out of his way. Bond is in his way of accomplishing like his goals. He just wants to kill him. He doesn't care who this guy is, what his background is, who he cares about. He just wants to kill him. And it's
that's been
always
a
like some
while,
kind of
hasn't it?
yeah, it really has. Um, but so like Malik, he was. Um, I don't think the promise of having Rami Malek in this really delivered. I think the most memorable thing that I'll take away from Malik in this movie is the mask. Is
Yeah,
the mask at the beginning.
definitely. Yeah, the
Uh,
opening scenes is immediately his most powerful presence,
yeah, like that
which is
has
unfortunate.
a yeah it has a very iconic kind of image, that mask.
Yeah, I agree, and it's a shame too, because I don't think this is Malik's fault, like necessarily. I can't pinpoint where he did like a bad job necessarily. It's more the writing. There just needed to be more
What do you,
room to develop him.
what is with the? I mean, we'll have to talk about it like when we get to the end of this, but like Purvis and Wade, why do they keep hiring these two guys?
Yeah, I
Shouldn't they
know.
just? Why don't they try
And
like
it's not.
another?
And this time we had Phoebe Waller, of course, as well.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
still, I think she mainly did some touch ups. But
It's just
yeah,
funny to me. Like Purvis and Wade, they've been around since, was it The World Is Not Enough?
yeah, that
It was
was
The
the
World Is
first.
Not Enough. So that was like 99,
Yeah, yeah.
and these
Well,
guys have been doing these movies.
over 20 years now.
God. And you remember like that there was that one report, I think I told you about it, where like these guys they said we don't know how we would write a James
Yeah,
Bond movie in this
there was going to be a
climate.
John Hodge.
Hopefully one day we could get that John Hodge, Danny Boyle script
Yeah,
and see
I'd be interested to see
what
that.
the difference, what how different it would be, or see what they rejected for in favor of this.
Yeah.
Um,
We also have to talk about Savin's supposed connection to Doctor No. So this was what we thought could happen. It didn't
I'm
happen.
I'm
But
very glad that you brought this up because this was speculation for the longest
yeah,
time.
but I really feel like there are a couple of things which in retrospect could have been changed later. Because it really seems like you look at his villain lair, and especially the big holes. And I looked at
Those
this movie again
th-
just now, and I was
those
like, yeah,
those
this is Doctor No stuff.
those
Yeah, it
overhead
looks like
crates.
yeah, it looks like the Cat Adam film set, like the same thing. It couldn't be coincidence. And it's the fact that Malik in interviews says like, no, 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 I'm actually and just a villain that doesn't exist now. It's not like I'm Doctor No or anything. It's like he mentions the exact guy he's suspected to be. And to me, it seems like because there was so much backlash already, like, yeah, he's Doctor No. We already know. That they thought like, oh boy, they already figured it out, and it's just Blofeld all over again. You know, they figured
Mm-hmm.
it out. So
See that trick?
let's just keep him Safin. Don't make him Doctor No. But it really seems like at some point, or at least there must have been discussions, because there seems to be so much evidence pointing towards him being Doctor No.
Well, well, let's go over some of the evidence.
Yeah,
Now, you said like the greats, like that production design from Doctor
and
No.
I do have more evidence, but you go ahead first.
Okay, I could throw a couple things with you. I mean, you said the great, and that's a clear giveaway of like that the Doctor No film. That's one of the most iconic images, that giant grate.
Yeah,
Um, when we were talking about the trailer, I mean, we immediately both pointed out those bonsai trees in the setting,
right.
that
Yeah,
Oriental kind of
yeah,
setting, the design, that mask that we were just talking about. I found out it's called like a Noah mask, a No
yeah,
mask, and
yeah,
it's like used in kabuki theater, like
yeah.
Chinese theater. That's another little Asian element that you have for him. And another little thing at the start of the film,
I know where
the
you're
title
going at.
sequence, we get the Doctor No dots
Yeah,
start up.
yeah. Cool reference.
And like, why would they be referencing that? Like, why
Yeah,
would that come up? That seems kind of random. Like, unless like there was like some kind of connection that they were trying to make. Um,
yeah,
at the end, Bond is fighting with Safin, and before he shoots him, what does he do? He breaks his arm,
yeah,
which seems kind of strange. Like, it seems like a kind of a strange move. Like, why is he breaking his arm, his hand? Like, until
yeah.
like you could think back, like Doctor No, that was
With the
the big
metal
thing.
hands.
That was the
This was
thing.
pointed out to me yesterday. I didn't necessarily buy into that one to be necessarily a Doctor No thing, but I did saw another one pointed out to me, which is the fact that this is what fans have been speculating about
Hmm.
beforehand. When Madeline shoots him as a child, he hits him like a couple of times. He survives all of those shots, and fans speculated like he may have been hit on one side, and because Dr. No has his heart on the other side, at least Dr. No of the novels.
In the novel. Hmm.
So they were
Hmm.
suspecting like maybe he survived, and it's going to be explained like he has a heart on the other side, and that would be an indication of him being Dr. No. Like that was the background of the real one. But yeah, I guess this is going to be another thing we'll never know, or maybe later in retrospect, they must have at least talked about it. The Nehru jacket as well.
Yeah. It seems like there's a lot of smoke here. There's a
Yeah,
lot of smoke.
yeah, there is, and there to me it seems like we also had delays before the COVID delays, where they were like, oh no, no, we gotta adjust some more things. Where it really seems like they may have listened to some of the backlash. Like to me, it seems like the 007 thing must have
Hmm.
been changed to please audiences that Bond gets it back. The Doctor No thing may have been changed because oh, they figured it out. We may as well leave it out. And I still feel like because of the whole pandemic, the nanobots was originally going to be a virus,
Hmm.
but it seems like some changes may or may not have been made, but we'll never know if he was intended to be Doctor No or not.
Well, you never know.
Yeah,
Maybe something will come up. Like, like finally the true story of the filming of Quantum, and everybody's feelings about it during the production has come out.
they
Now,
did mention more of that stuff in the Being James Bond
yeah.
documentary.
So maybe it'll just, take one where like, 10 years from now when we're deep into like the next Bond actor or something, maybe like, the stories will come out about this. But it does make sense. It does make a lot of
Yeah.
sense. Um, it's strange. It's
Well, speaking of characters that turned out to be different people, we have Franz Oberhauser returning, or
mm,
as we now know him, Ernst Stavro Blofeld, second
yes.
time. Christoph Waltz returns. Um, what was your take on his little moment in No Time to Die?
Like, I have a little pet peeve with that. They're going through all his records, like all his he's in prison and everything. Why are they calling him Blofeld? That's just an alias. Shouldn't they be calling him like listed like as Oberhauser?
But didn't
Like,
we call this in our predictions in the forecasting series? We were like, he's not going to be mentioned to be the stepbrother again, and he's not going
yeah,
to be mentioned to be
yes.
uh,
It's
Oberhauser. They did mention like a tiny moment where Q goes, "Oh, at least you're not truly related to him," because that would have screwed you up. But that was it. So they do mention that subtle
yeah,
thing, but it's not like they go over. He's
yeah,
never mentioned to be Oberhauser anymore, and even Bond now calls him Blofeld.
yeah. But just for the sake of continuity and logic, like if you're imprisoning the guy, his record should like be Franz Oberhauser alias Blofeld, but they're just calling him
Right.
straight up
They
Blofeld. All
they
his
just
file work
they
says
just go with
Blofeld.
his
Yeah.
his name. Yeah.
He did exactly what I expected him to do. He got wheeled out in this crazy, which is kind of weird when I think about it. He's got this Hannibal Lecter kind of cage. Like I don't think like he's the type of criminal who's gonna jump up and like start ripping off your face and like or anything like
Yeah.
uh he's more of a white collar kind of guy, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, he was fine. Um, I know you like Blofeld more than I did in Spectre, so like seeing him again, was it like were you happy? Was it satisfying to see Waltz again?
Uh, yeah, I do like that they brought him back. Story wise, still doesn't all of it doesn't really make sense. Like I still don't know how he did the whole eye thing, and while he
Hmm.
was in prison. Like when they looked at the cameras of him, he was just being a loony, just talking into himself, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's like, oh well, he lost his mind. But all of a sudden, he was able to coordinate this whole thing, and just because the DNA thing was changed, all of his agents died instead of Bond, which was intended to happen there. But it doesn't make sense. Like, how did he do that from like this secured prison, and how did he coordinate like the grave of Vesper when Bond happened to be there? Like, how did he know? Like, oh no, no, Bond is there now. It doesn't really make
yeah,
sense. But as of Walt's performance, yeah, like you said, he did what we expected. He would
yeah.
give some information. Um,
Uh,
yeah, and he
I don't
did.
I don't remember anything really like a lot of times in these last Craig movies, like there's usually a memorable line like I'll remember from the villain, like Mr. White, we have people everywhere, and then like immediately the guy
Yeah, am I
shoots,
right?
or
Yeah,
uh or like you're a kite dancing in the hurricane, Mr. Bond, like like very
yeah. The biggest
eloquent.
thing, the biggest thing Blofeld keeps doing is cuckoo.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and
That's
he
it.
does it again in this one. But
I mean, did he say anything? I don't even remember much what he said, honestly.
yeah, he teases Bond that the name you're looking for is Madeline. Madeline. He keeps saying that, and then in the end, he goes when his secret, or her secret, finds its way out. It will be the death of you. And I still don't get how what he means by that exactly. And he just seems to, you know, he seems like he's just taking pleasure out of tormenting Bond. It's like, yeah, I took it
Yeah,
away from you, and he does this like like he does it in Spectre especially. Um, and you were always so
Sen-
vulnerable.
sensitive.
My little cook, you were always so vulnerable. Something like that he says, but he just seems to take pleasure out of tormenting Bond. And it seems out of character for Bond to just snap at him the
What
way
the
that he
heck was
does.
that about?
Yeah.
Die, Blofeld.
Die. Yeah.
Is that what he said? Die, Blofeld. Blofeld, die.
I mean, they
What?
needed to find a reason for him to touch him to get the
Yeah,
virus that Madeline came across. Not the virus, the nanobots. Of course, we
yeah,
keep
yeah,
calling it a virus,
yeah.
but still, um,
Die, Blofeld. Yeah, that was, and
it
he
seems
says
like
that.
they purely wrote it for a reason to get it in there. But yeah,
And Craig didn't. I don't think that was Craig's best moment either. Like when I
I
saw
think
that,
he
it seemed.
did what he tried. He got the script, and it's like, oh, I need to snap, so I need to build it up.
Yeah,
You're right. It's not
Uh, yeah.
because he
But
stays relatively calm throughout the whole thing.
it was almost like in Spectre when they were playing the video of Mr. White, and he kind of like freaks out. Turn this off. Don't look at it. Don't look at it, Madeline. Close your eyes.
Yeah,
And like he
yeah.
kind of
One of
freaks
those
out, and like
moments where like, what
I was like,
happens?
why is it? Well, why is he doing it? What's the big deal?
Yeah. No, I agree. It's yeah. And I don't have that much else to say about him. I mean,
Yeah.
the eye looked pretty scary, you know. But
Did you
that,
like? Would you say like between Spectre, Blofeld, and No Time to Die, Blofeld, was there much of a difference? Did you prefer one over the other? Did they make him any
I
better?
do like the entrance he gets when the little cage comes to, and Madeline seems a bit scared.
Yeah,
Um, but that was about it. So yeah,
I think
I mean,
he was pretty much what we thought he would be. He wasn't on a long time. It was just his one scene.
yeah, we were expecting that. Yeah,
Um,
there were people that said like he should have been the main villain again, and it should have been just which was what I was expecting. Like
yeah,
after Spectre, that I would was expecting like an elaborate escape or something revolving around him, and then an ultimate climax where Bond takes out Blofeld or something. But no,
I mean, it's hard. Like once you have the top Bond villain essentially, and like you got the rights to him, to make him just like almost like a sacrificial lamb in another
yeah,
villain
yeah,
story, then that other villain's really gotta be something special
yeah,
to eclipse Blofeld. And you know, like we were just talking about Malik, I don't think he's really standing tall on the mountain of like, oh, this guy's even more. He's even better than the
which
Blofeld.
which should have been because he eradicated the whole of Spectre with the
Hmm.
chains of a DNA thing.
Yeah,
Speaking of Spectre, they
yeah.
are they are present a lot more in this movie. But what did you think of what do you think of Spectre? You already
There's
start
a,
laughing here.
I guess in a I guess in a way the No Time to Die did make Spectre better, like the film Spectre better in my mind, because in at least in Spectre the movie, the organization, like they're in these the dark rooms. They're kind of anonymous people. It's kind of like an eerie feeling and everything. And once again, all the Spectre people, all of them, every single one of them,
Yeah,
are
and
hanging out
Bond
in this bar.
recognizes them too. It was like,
It,
oh, these are all Spectre guys. Like, how did he
yeah,
know? Like,
yeah.
like, did he ever
Uh,
identify all of them?
all of them. They're all present.
And he
Uh,
knows exactly who they are. It's like, oh, this is a Spectre guy. I'm like, huh? How did you know in like your 5 year hiatus? Did you figure all of that stuff out? I guess
yeah,
he did.
I did hear like the one lady from Spectre is in that party, who was reading off the list in Spectre. She's
Oh,
present
of
there.
course he
Uh,
saw some faces in the
yeah,
in that
I didn't
scene.
get this. I didn't see her, but
No,
I
me
did
neither.
hear
I didn't know to look out
uh,
for her too.
I
But
did see. Did you catch Mikey's cameo?
no, oh shit! Oh, damn, I forgot to look for it the second
Yeah,
time. Yeah, I know
yeah,
he's in that scene. I know that
yeah,
much. But oh
yeah.
shit, I forgot to look for him again.
But it was funny, like yeah, all Spectres there. And like
Gone.
meanwhile, like what's Mr. White's famous line from Quantum?
We have people everywhere, I think. Or do you mean something else?
No, that's it. We have
Yeah.
people everywhere. Everywhere. No, not in this case because they're all sitting at this like bar. Like,
That was them. Yeah, no, it's done. That
it,
brings us to Primo as well,
well,
because he seems to be changing sides during this movie, like the
and
the Cyclops guy.
yeah, Primo. Yeah, because at first, when we first meet him, he's working for Blofeld or Spectre in
Yeah,
Matera, and then
yeah, and I mean he even has the line like almost like Blofeld is part of the mafia, like Blofeld sends his regards.
Mhm.
If all you needed to do is like Don Blofeld sends his regards, and then it would be the mafia. But it's so he's definitely
He
working
he,
for
he is
Blofeld,
the
and then at
Spectre.
some point, yeah, so he when I guess when they extract the nanobots, it turns out that he switched teams.
Was he working for Safin at that point?
Well,
Because
yeah,
why?
because they get the virus. I keep calling it the virus. They get the
Yeah,
nanobots from that moment on, I think,
but
and then
wouldn't
or the scientists. But
but
at some
what?
point, he switches sides.
But why would he be upstairs at the Spectre party if he was working for Safin? Is he like a traitor guy? Like,
Well, if he was still part of Spectre, wouldn't he die as well?
but maybe like they didn't program his DNA in that.
Oh, right. Why?
I don't know.
Because,
Yeah, like
that's what I think. He was already part of the
uh,
plan because they excluded him from dying with the gas and to activate the DNA. And
so at
then
the
and then I did notice a line today, which is in that scene where he gives the tea to Madeline, like in the end. And then Madeline mentions, "Do you know what tea this is? It could make you blind." Um, and she mentioned something like, "When I worked for your predecessor, your previous employer." So it's like, oh, okay. So it is actually known that he was working for Spectre and he switched to Safin. Obviously, that was a previous employer, and I guess he was just like Jaws, like from Henchmen or Us or something, and he
right,
just
right, right.
went to the next team.
So like, do we
Just like
know?
Jaws went from Stromberg to Drax.
Yeah. Well, Drax like saw like his resume and says, "Yeah, this guy could
Yeah, bring him in.
help me out."
Yeah,
So like when they were stealing the virus 5 years later after Matera,
you keep
what
saying the virus too. Yeah,
nanobots,
yeah.
uh, the nanobots, uh, was Primo working for Safin or Spectre? Because Safin calls the scientist and says Spectre is on its way.
Yeah,
So he's working for Spectre at that point,
yeah,
Primo.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
So
then at the
that's right. Yeah, that's right. You are right.
he says, and then like he tells the Valdo, he says swallow it or whatever. And then they go, okay, so fast forward to Cuba at the Spectre party. So we see Primo and the scientist again with the little virus thing. I guess they intend that it's going to be to kill James Bond for Blofeld's birthday, and that's when the scientist switches the thing to like, kill all the Spectre people,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
Primo is still working for Spectre in that moment.
yeah. So why doesn't he die?
Uh, Maybe they didn't they goofed up and they didn't add his DNA to the thing.
It doesn't make any sense though. It's really weird.
So
And
then after all the Spectre people die, that's when Primo says, "Okay, they're all dead. I'm gonna join Safin."
yeah, but we never get to see like why that happens.
Yeah,
And no one questions it. Like, oh, now he's working for Safin. Hey,
mm,
this is why it confused me in my first viewing. Like, I constantly kept thinking, so is Safin, because now I got it a bit better, but I kept thinking, like, so Safin and Blofeld, it's like, are they in cahoots or not? Because they have like the same henchmen. It's like,
yeah,
what's the deal? I couldn't figure it out at first.
yeah. The deeper that you dig, maybe we shouldn't even dig that deep in it because like it seems like it
It
gets
could be like
more.
Josh, he's just he went on to the next
He's
team.
he's just like a henchman for hire.
I do like his death scene where Bond gets to use the gadget, the
Oh
watch,
yeah, in
and
his
the eye
eye.
explodes, and,
What
and
with
he
his?
gets a classic one-liner like, "Oh, I just showed someone your watch. It really blew his mind." That
That
was
was it.
yeah,
That was it.
that was a pretty cool '60s moment, almost like classic Bond.
I was kind of hoping for like a little bit more fight between those two. It seemed like it really like it didn't
And they
last.
did get two fight scenes, though, by the way, in the pre-titles and in the climax.
He's not as imposing as like Mr. Hanks or like Mr. Hanks was
No,
throwing Bond around like a rag doll. Like it looked like he could
Primo
fight.
Primo had a much less. um, intimidating physique, just a regular guy, and the eye thing was the only thing that he got going for him. Um, but
Yeah, but
yeah,
yeah. So Primo,
hmm.
Cyclops, also known as Cyclops.
Yeah. I mean, I got the Primo thing from you because I don't think that's mentioned in the
Yeah,
movie.
I read that somewhere.
Uh, yeah, no, but
Um,
fair enough.
I'm not going to be able to pronounce his name
No,
too
no.
good. You just saw the movie, so you should
Yeah, yeah,
know.
yeah.
It's
So
it's his name is Valdo Obruchev.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, Valdo
So what did I
Obruchev.
think of him? Yeah, more like a plot device character, I guess. I mean, he's not really. He's like Gupta from Tomorrow Never Dies, who just activates stuff, or something insignificant like that, or Flat in Die Another Day, who did like the technology, and I bet you don't know who that was. Who did the robot arm in Die Another
Oh,
Day.
you mean that guy with that crazy hairdo? Like
Yeah,
he looked like
like
the
a
Rock or
character
something?
like that. I mean, he was. I mean, when you read the synopsis of Die Another Day, it's all about a scientist has gone missing, and he is central to some of the plot, mainly the part where Felix is after and stuff, and they interrogate him. But yeah, hmm, what
Uh,
can you say? What can you really say about Vladovich? He's just around.
Dr. Oberish, Obelisk, Dr.
Vladovisky,
Valdo, Dr.
Valdo.
Valdo.
Yeah,
He definitely added comedy, a little comedy.
I do like the Ebola line he gets in the beginning.
So like they put he's kind. I guess he's like a classic nerd kind of like they pick on him at work and they put
Yeah,
Ebola in his soup or something or
not Ebola, but smallpox or something. But then he's like, next time I'll put Ebola in your tea, and
oh
which
okay.
again leads me to believe the plot was originally involving viruses. But you
That's
know,
um I mean it makes sense. We
I
never
mean,
heard anything about
what does
we never
Ebola have to do with nanobots? I mean,
um what's this guy a scientist of? Is he working on viruses?
well, he does mention smallpox and Ebola,
Yeah, yeah, that's what he's doing.
so that's another thing. Like, and
Um,
some people noticed, and I noticed it today too. Like all the lines on the nanobots are voiced by Q while you see stuff going on the screen later
hmm.
on in the lab, and it seems like they could have potentially ad-libbed that later. Um,
Would you think any differently of the movie if like you found out that was a change during the pandemic?
no, I completely understand it. I mean, in the middle
Yeah,
of the pandemic and be Corona being this sensitive topic that it is. I mean, even if you post something Corona related, you immediately get like an information bar on your wherever you post it. So it is hugely sensitive. So I can imagine they got rid of that. Like how many movies got made before 9/11 that quickly or video games quickly changed stuff up after 9/11 happened. Like
yeah,
there's countless video games that were in production and then 9/11 happened and they quickly cut a lot of
they had to
stuff
change
from
it.
video games. Yeah, it's completely understandable if it was a virus thing and it's so sensitive now that they thought like let's just steer away from the virus thing if that's what happened and they changed it. But it makes sense because the scientist does talk about like these other viruses, and I don't know.
Um, in the kind of the same same vein, would had Malik supposed to have been played Doctor No and they changed it later? Do you think him being Doctor No, because it seemed like we weren't too crazy about his character, him having the title Doctor No, would that have made him any better for you?
I mean, it still would be the same actor and the same story and everything. I mean, it would have just been a moment like, so he is a villain. We already know that. It would have just been another fan nod, I guess.
Yes, that's
So,
exactly how I feel. It,
yeah,
it shows like how pointless it would have been
Yeah,
if
so
he
I
was
guess they
originally
made the
supposed to
right
be,
call.
yeah,
Yeah.
if he was supposed to be Dr. No, and they said no, we'll just change it to Safin, that sounds good.
Yeah.
But so Valdo, he does provide a little bit of comedy relief. Um, he seems like he's a character that we hadn't seen too much in the Craig films, like a colorful supporting character who comes in. Like he seems almost like a Roger Moore type of character, like a goofy scientist with one-liners. He's kind of like awkward. You can get some easy laughs at him, like out of his accent and his
They
mispronunciation of
they
stuff.
they, they could have given him a more a callback name, like he could have been Klaus Hergenscheimer, from G Section,
Yeah,
he,
he seems like he's like one of those kind. Like you, a lot. It's weird. Like in some of the older Bond films, it seemed like the movies start to get decorated with all these like little side characters, and in the Craig
yeah,
films, it seemed like the side characters became less and less, and it became more about like the Scooby Gang and their
yeah,
interacting. And so like when I see like this the Valdo, it seems like a very different. Like he seems like a very different. He's not even like a second tier character to me. He's almost like a third tier. And it seemed like a lot of the Craig films would just ignore third tier characters completely. They wouldn't even they'd give the lines to Q or somebody like
yeah,
Uh, so I didn't mind him. I thought he was okay. He's almost in the same kind of range I think of as Logan Ash.
yeah.
He's like
Who
a
we
third
also
tier
need to talk
character.
about.
Yeah, we'll have
Yeah,
to get to him, but I didn't mind him. I thought like some of his jokes they're kind of goofy and silly, but
yeah. I don't have too much of an opinion about him because, like you said, he's like a tour character that even though he was kind of central to the whole plot.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
I mean, they could have
and
done
I keep forgetting his name, and I just saw it 2 hours ago, or
yeah,
4 hours ago. So that's the
Dr.
thing. And
Dr.
um,
Valdo. Like you said, like for a character who was kind of central to the plot, but he could have been a real throwaway character, like a throwaway performance, just like a stiff guy with a suit. And this guy like
right.
kind of tried they colored it a little bit, which I thought was okay. I could appreciate. Did it work completely? No, but um, it was fine. I thought his death was. I guess that was Nomi's big moment in the movie.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm.
if I really wanted to think about it, I wasn't sure about Valdo's motivations. Like, did he really was he on Safin's side? Was he kind of like a genocidal, crazy nutbag?
I don't know.
Yeah,
And it seems like that final line, like I mentioned in a couple of parts, like where he's all of a sudden blurting out to Naomi like that he could wipe out her whole
yeah.
ethnicity. Like the Dutch subtitles even say like I can wipe out your entire race. Like it even said that in the Dutch subtitles.
Hmm.
And it's like, and she gets the pissed off look and gets the badass moment, and it just seems so forced. It's like, yeah, it's like, where did that come from? Like, why all of a sudden he's racist now, or what's the point? I don't know.
And
It's
also in that moment, okay, Nomi takes offense and throws him into the acid and stuff. Is that really the conduct of a an experienced double O agent that they would just do that?
No, that's what I said. It seems to be just an audience pleaser so that you can hate him because he all of a sudden mentions that he's against wiping out an entire race, which history learns us this isn't too fondly remembered when you go to that territory. So that gives you a reason to hate him, throw him
Hmm.
out, and Nomi gets her big badass moment. But it
Yeah.
came out of left field. It just doesn't seem to it was never mentioned. I don't know. It's yeah. I don't have too much to say about
I mean,
Vladovic, the guy.
Davidovich.
Vladovic, Platsky.
um, it's kind of a shame that Nomi killed him and took that track to kill him, because maybe had she like just taken him into custody, she could have worked on a cure for Bond at the end of the movie. But
Yeah.
instead, like, she wanted to just push him into the acid.
I mean, it seems they do seem to make it pretty clear that it's permanent, but you never know. Movie magic, they could think of
Yeah.
something, but yeah. Yeah, but I do feel Logan Ash, the other villain, who turns out to be a villain. Did we
Uh,
call that in our predictions? I guess we did.
uh,
I did
well,
predict him to be like Denby from
I can't remember.
C from Spectre. Like I was like, yeah, he's
A,
probably
tr
going to be one of those.
a traitor guy. I mean, I
Yeah,
know, I remember saying, like, oh, he's probably a CIA guy or something.
yeah. But
Uh,
so he was he and the funny thing is, um, when I watched my first viewing, Liret immediately mentions like, "Oh, he's a bad guy." Like immediately, like who's the blonde? When Bond says it, and
yeah,
she's like,
yeah.
"Oh, he must be the bad guy," and she figured it out straight away. And she was like, "Yeah, no, no, he's always the bad guy," which I have to look up if he is, but I
Um,
don't know anything about Billy Magnuson. But she
the,
apparently knew some more movies he's in which he's
huh.
also a bad guy.
Yeah, this is the first time I ever saw him. I don't
Yeah,
know.
me too. I'm not too familiar with Magnuson's work.
Did you hear like that? And you now you saw it twice, so maybe you have some added insight that his character was kind of a dig at the Craig haters. You know, like
Was
he
it?
says that was a blonde guy. Oh, he smiles too much. He's kind of like a dig at Craig's critics.
Oh, really? No, I did not
I
hear that.
I heard that that was a theory. That was a theory. He's a fan of Bond. I'm a big fan of your work. You know?
Yeah, I think that's just he mentions that
Yeah.
to keep his cover up, I think.
Um,
But
which is funny too, because like, what's he a fan of that Craig has done? I mean, like, have
I
his,
guess the stuff that Felix told him about.
I guess, oh, killing off that the former M, helping her get killed off. Oh, you mean going rogue and they're trying to like kill people? Oh yeah, that. What
Maybe
missions?
maybe the part where he left the oil can for some dude
Oh yeah,
in the desert.
big
That
fan,
I'm a big fan of that stuff.
murdering.
But yeah, but
Uh,
it's
he was all right. He had like a little goofy quirks, and like he always smiles too much. And
yeah.
it was it was much like Valdo. I felt like he could have been just a throwaway kind of character. Okay, he's the traitor guy. We're gonna find out.
Yeah, but I
But like he
found him
gave a little bit.
more present than uh, What was the name again?
Valdo,
Valdo.
Valdo,
Yeah.
Valdo.
Now I keep mixing it up with Flat from Die Another Day, but he was more present, and I gotta say that his death scene, which
Hmm.
seemed to be
Yes.
like you left this for Rara, like a for your eyes only type of moment.
Yeah.
That was really cool to see
Uh,
Bond do like a revenge kill for Felix. Like
yeah.
I had a brother once, which by the way, I don't know if you had it, but when Bond says I had a brother once, the first thing I popped into my mind is like, oh, he means Blofeld. But then he goes,
Yeah.
his name is Felix Leiter. It's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I thought maybe he
I
mentioned
did.
like
Yeah.
maybe he means like Blofeld. I had a brother once, couldn't trust him either, But yeah, that was a cool moment to see him go. Yeah, it's a cool kill. This whole Norway sequence where Bond, he does the trap with the rope around the trees to get the guy from the bike,
Yeah.
and to throw the Land Rovers overboard and stuff. Pretty cool. But
So you when he turned to be a bad guy, was it surprising to you or?
well, like I said, I had Lyrid next to me, who was completely bothered. He's got to be the bad guy. And then at the moment where he kept on saying, "You can't say that," during the questioning of Flatovich. He kept saying, like, "You can't say that. You can't stop it, Bond." And then Lyrid's like, "I told you, he's not working along. He's the bad guy. I'm telling you." She kept whispering that to my ear, and she was right. So,
Yeah.
so to me, it was like, yep, he is. So it wasn't too much of a surprise to me that he turned out to be. I'm like, what's the point of his character if he's just written to be a helper of Felix. It doesn't make sense if he is. So
And he is responsible for killing Felix.
yeah,
So, so that payback later in the movie really does like feel, oh, good. That's what you
yeah,
deserve, buddy.
yeah, and it reeks back to classic Bond, like where, like I said, I pointed out the Ferrara moment, but you can
Yeah.
point out several more, but because this involves like a car kicking as well,
Yeah.
or pushing, I think he pushes it like this, but it's very for your eyes only.
Yeah, that I immediately thought of that scene too.
Yeah.
Maybe they intentionally wanted to emulate that. They were purposely saying let's do a like a for your eyes only kill.
They might, yeah. I mean, it was a very Bond moment, I think. So
I guess there's not too much to say. That's what I mean. Like they're third tier characters. Like some of these guys, like they give them character posters. I don't really think they weren't having their own poster.
imagine in the old days they would give like third tier guys a poster like Pinda and Thunderbolt. Like
Yeah,
he would
like
have some poster,
it's really
or
not.
like
That,
Sharky in License to Kill.
it's really
And
not.
then see him on a poster. But he would have a poster. Um, if it happened nowadays,
Oh, today, yeah,
Luigi Ferrari, Ferrara,
today, like
Sharky,
yeah, it's
Pinda.
everybody. One thing I wanted to ask you: we've had more children in No Time to Die than in I think any other Bond film. When was the last time you could think of when a child appeared in the Bond film?
Oh man, this is a puzzler. You already thought about this, didn't
I
you?
I know I know two.
Oh, the one that pops into my mind is the child in The Man with the Golden Gun that
Right. Right.
Roger Moore pushes overboard.
Hmm.
Yeah, that little shit. And then there's who else do we have? Who else? You thought of two. So
Yeah,
which other kid? Which other kid do we have?
I
Can
could
you
tell
hint
you the
hint me the era of like which Bond actor to narrow it down?
it's between 65 and 75. I can
All
tell
right.
you I read it, so like I couldn't I then it when I read it I was like, "Oh yeah, I should just give you the movie." And
Hmm.
even then, I don't even know like the movie
All right, give me the movie then.
Diamonds Are Forever.
Oh yeah, the elephant kid.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
What is she, your mother? Blow it
yeah,
out your pants.
yeah. And those were the kids.
Those were
That was it, probably. Yeah.
like, I mean, well, in like Living Daylights, it's brief. Like when Bond jumps over the hedge and he's running after
Oh, and then
the
he
guy with
pops
the
the
balloons.
balloon, I think.
Yeah, like there's
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
little
yeah.
octopussy. I guess you could say like there's a lot of kids watching the circus,
Uh,
but
oh,
like
yeah.
they're not. They're kind of background. They're like they're extras. But like really, I think this had the most notable appearance of children. We had one in the pre-credits, and then we
Yeah.
had one later in
No, definitely. This is definitely
Slaughter. It's a
most
game.
child actor heavy Bond movie because yeah, I think the two major ones were those two.
I have to owe you. Or no, he just
Yeah.
pushes him right into the thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But all right, so like, well, we pretty much covered the villains, and then we're gonna move on to episode 5 because there's more
Yeah.
to talk about, and we're gonna move on to episode 5 with the supporting characters in No Time to Die. Back over at Jeroen's channel.
Yeah.
Join us then.
See you guys later. Yeah, yeah. Today I
Next
went to
time?
the afternoon screening this time.
Yeah.
Went solo. Lots of children as well.
Really?
Yeah,
13?
even one of the kids that I actually teach. So they actually came up to me after the movie. She was like, "Master Jeroen, the movie was great, but shame there was no happy ending, right?" And that got me, like, yeah, it is a shame.